Hello everybody, Brian Martin from Hot Stove Games here with you. It's been a while since we've released a new game, but we've got one coming out here in the next 3 or 4 weeks called Six Pack Bowling. Now, we play tested this a couple of years ago, and I've just been lazy in finishing up the work on the rule book and cleaning up the charts, but we're getting ready to release this, and we think the name is self-explanatory. Six Pack, for those of you that aren't big bowling fans, is the nickname given to six strikes in a row, and it also fits the bowling motif because if you play in leagues and stuff, guys like to have a six-pack when they're bowling on league night. So the game is actually three different types of the game in one. There's the quick play version, which we're going to demo right here. We also have the regular version and the detailed version that's here. We'll bring those cards onto the table in a minute. We have quick play cards for each bowler and regular cards for each bowler because the two games are a little bit different in the way they're executed. So quick play is very simple. 5 potential results from the initial dice roll, and then supplemental charts here to figure out the type of score or the scoring that you get. So 5, you can get a highlight reel, which are the high scores between 230 and 300. You can get a grade A, which is 210 to 229. Grade B, which is 190 to 209. Grade C, which is 170 to 189, and disaster. Every bowler has the same disaster odds on his chart. Every bowler has the same highlight game chart odds on his chart. They're there so that you don't have to keep referring back to the charts. They're always on the card for you, and they're the same. These two bottom charts are the same for every bowler. Everything's different here and in the score modifiers that you see here. -1 for Roth, -4 for Anthony. So let's roll it up real quick. I'll do this in my dice tower off. Here's the side. Roll 3d10. They should be different colors. You can read them darkest to lightest, lightest to darkest, or any color combination that makes sense to you. So if you read them red, white, blue, and that's the way you do it, that's fine. If you read them green, yellow, purple, that's fine too. I just do it dark to light. So I rolled a 1, 5, 9. We look at the card. The top row is always 0. So 159 is greater than 0 but less than 319. So Mark Roth has a highlight reel game. We jump down here to his highlight reel result. We roll a 923, which is higher than 707. So he's getting a highlight A, so he's on this chart. This is going to be a big score here. And we roll one final time. Same concept here, just keep going down till you find the right range. He rolls a 139, which is right here. So he rolls a 256. He has a -1 score modifier, so he actually rolls a 255 for this game. So 255 for Roth. Just mark that down on a piece of paper and keep going. Anthony now. He's going to need the same thing. If this was match play, he'd need the same basic highlight reel rolls. He's going to roll a 347, which gets it. It's higher than 306, so he gets a grade A score. Roll in the grade A chart and get a 906, and that gives him a score of 227. -4 is 223. So Roth, if this was a match play game, would win this one 255 to 223. So that's quick play. Super simple. Only thing, and it's listed on the chart, any score 273 or higher is not modified at all. Those scores stand as they are rolled. Every other score is modified by this score modifier. Let's say he gets a disaster, just for the fun of it. Let's say Earl Anthony gets a disaster. He rolls down here and he gets a 219. It's 80, not 82. It's higher than 165, so he gets this result, which is a 150 plus a D10. So he's going to score 150 plus a D10, which is 0. So it's 0. So he rolls a 150 -4. He rolls a 146. That's what the disaster column is for, and you can see exactly why we call it that. That's quick play. The fuller version of the game, we'll leave that there for a minute. The fuller version of the game basically takes the cards and does something a little different. We'll hold these up here, and you'll notice that it tells you what the count is and whether or not it's a split, strike, gutter ball, and that's a spare modifier for when he rolls a spare. So we're going to do Mark Roth here, and in the normal version, you find out how many pins he knocked down, and then this tells you how many pins he knocked down on the first ball, and what the chances are of getting a spare. So you have a 9-pin, 8-pin, 8-pin split, 7, 7 split, 6, 6 split, 5, 5 split, and then gutter ball is down here. If he rolls gutter ball, you roll down here. So let's do Mark Roth. Roth rolls a 528, which is less than 592, so Roth strikes. Anthony has a 568 as his strike. He rolls a 358. He strikes. Simple. Move to the next frame. Let's do Roth again. Hoping to get a spare here. 603 is higher than 592 but less than 885, so he has picked up 9 pins. We come over the 9 pin here, and we roll an 029 minus 20 for his spare, so it's a 9, which is less than 959. He makes that spare. Earl Anthony, let's see what happens for him. He rolls a 993. That's a 6. He's left 4 pins, so we come down to the 6-pin leave, and we'll roll. And he rolls a 953, and if we slide over here, 957 is the number, so he got 1 pin. So he has an open frame. Roth gets the 1-pin spare. Anthony picks up 1 pin. This system doesn't differentiate which pins you left behind. So your odds of making the 7-10 as an 8-pin split is the same as any other 8-pin split. And some folks will not like that, and that's why we developed the fuller version, which allows you to determine which pins did you leave. And then, once you determine that, what the spare chances are. And every spare has a different chance of success. So let's do Mark Roth. Same card. 211, or I'm sorry, 121 is a strike, of course. Anthony rolls a 526, which is a strike, so we go to the next frame. Roth rolls a 701, and that's a 9 count. So we come over here to this finder column. We roll a 588, and we find that he's left the 7 pin, and 950 is his spare number. He rolls a 957, which would miss, but he gets a minus 20, which takes him down to 937. He makes the 7 pin. All right, so now we go to Earl Anthony. Let's go back to that 6 count that he had last time. Okay, now we go to the 6 count leaves here, and we find that Anthony, with a roll of 875, leaves the 3, 5, 6, 9. So I think I can do this with these pawns here. He's left the 3, the 5, the 6, and the 9. So he's left a bucket on that side of the deck, and so we'll roll the 3, 5, 6, 9. He has a minus 13 spare roll. He rolls an 895. Minus 13 is 882. And 882 means he picked up just 2 pins on that. So he has an open frame. We don't know which 2 pins he picked up, but he picked up 2 pins. And so that's how that works. So that's generally how the game works in very quick order. We also have added to the game 3 optional rules and a special rule. Let's do the special rule. When you're using oil patterns, which we'll get to next, there's that black line. So for Mark Roth, 928 is above the black line. 929, which you don't see on the card, but it's the next number in sequence, is below the black line. When you have that black line, when you roll the initial roll, if it's 929 or higher, you don't modify it by the oil pattern, so that all of these lower results never change. The black line stops the modifiers. They can't be modified below that number. They can't be modified above that number. So the oil patterns only affect these first 3 rolls. So when you roll an initial roll of 929, you don't modify it, and that's the roll. If you roll 928 or less, then you modify it by the oil pattern. And we have 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 oil patterns here, named after animals, grouped into categories based on which things they reward. Some are pluses, which increase or decrease the chance of you getting a strike, and decrease the chance of you getting a spare, and negative modifiers, which increase the chance of you making a strike or increase the chance of you getting a spare. And there's different combinations all throughout. So for example, Stallion, which rewards a power player, minus 54 for strike, but plus 18 for a spare. So the oil pattern rewards the perfect shot on the first roll, but it makes it tricky to make spares. And there's different combinations of that throughout. The patterns degrade 3, 6, 9, or 10. That's every 3 frames or every 3 games, depending on what you, as the tournament director, want to do. The second optional rule is the lefty-righty rule, which means whenever there's a bunch of these spare partners, and it's only these spare partners, when these are the leaves that you have, then you shoot the spare on a different table. So if you leave the 10 pin as a lefty, you're going to use the 7 pin conversion. If you leave the 3, 6, 7 as a lefty, you'll shoot on the 2, 4, 10 table. It's just basically flip-flopping the odds on each of those tables because the odds are the same essentially for lefties and righties. It's just they're the same for different spare combinations. So that's the lefty-righty rule. And the final rule is the play it safe option. So let's say you have the 6, 7, 10 spare. Playing it safe means that you're not going to try to convert the whole thing. You can if you want to. You may have to at the end of a match, but early on you have a choice. Try for the whole spare at a lower rate, or just try for the 310, the 610, and ignore that. So instead of shooting on the 3, 6, 10, or the 3, 7, 10, I'm sorry, 6, 7, 10 roll, in which you have a 7.2% chance of converting the whole thing, you just decide to go over here and do the 610, which has a 90% chance of conversion. So you're agreeing to just go for 2 and ignore the spare. However, the cool part about this is, if you ever roll triple zeros in that case, which is the lowest possible roll, you make the spare regardless. So it allows for, you were going for these 2, but one of them kicked out of the pit and bounced across the spare, across the pin deck, and took out the pin, the miracle shot, if you will. And so that's pretty much how the game plays. And I don't know what the pricing of it's going to be just yet. It'll be available in PDF or printed version from ASG Games. The pre-printed version, everything will be on cardstock, and you'll have to cut the cards out yourself. The PDF version will be full color, but you'll print it out on whatever you like, paper, cardstock. I use 28-pound paper, and it's pretty thick. It holds up real nice. But you might want cardstock, and they're full color cards. The color is actually brown, brownish gold. Not the most attractive color in the world. Maybe I'll change that before we publish the game, but they'll be full color cards. You'll get a quick play card and a regular play card for all the bowlers in a set. We'll be releasing the 1978 set as our first pro set. That was the year Mark Roth won 8 tournaments, which still stands as a PBA record in a single season. And we're also going to put out our APB League, which is the American Professional Bowling League of 36 fictional bowlers that have been given different characteristics and qualities that you can roll up your own fictional universe if you like fictional play. But that's it. That's how you play Six-Pack Bowling. We hope that you'll enjoy the release when it comes out. Look for more information on the Delphi Forum in Tabletop Sports under Game News for the release date and the release time and the price for Six-Pack Bowling. As always, we wish you great times, great gaming, and in this case, good bowling. We'll talk to you again soon. So long, everybody.